you don't know from where to discuss it. What is the policy? What was the agenda? What was the manifesto of the government in place concerning this? The cabinet has not been formed. So who was it? The previous plan, the previous administration that is being implemented, the policy of the previous administration or the present? So it is shocking to receive this news at this time.
And would also even want to look at how much investment has been put into the education sector in this country, especially at the Unity College level, the secondary level. How much investment has government put in? Because many would say if there was adequate investment to improve on the quality and standard, people would understand perhaps an increase and, it's painful, but we are seeing what the government is doing. With all of the monies, which is among the lowest, if we are to even look at world standard money allocated to education in this country, would you look at the investment in the education sector in this country and say, well, that could be a reason why we're seeing what we're seeing?
The government in place is here to sit down. The government in place is here to be formed. So on what basis have they done, has the government implemented any program? No.
So it has no right, you're saying, in your perspective, to even be implementing anything now because it doesn't have a cabinet yet?
Yes, it's premature. On what basis are you implementing the decision of the past administration or the new one? Because there is no minister yet. What is the problem? What is the ideology? What does the federal government...
And that's a key question because the government hasn't told us why we're seeing this increase.
Okay.
Categorically, we haven't gotten a precise answer.
What we should be expecting now, considering the subsidy removal and the rest of them, what should be expecting now is a pronouncement that will scrap whatever people pay, because people are paying heavily to survive. People are paying heavily to survive. So if you come to petroleum products, no subsidy again, and then you come to areas where you should give palliative, you are increasing the fees.
Yes.
If you read through news, you see the lamentation of parents. Because those who are patronizing the Unity schools are the poor, the low and average income earners. You don't even
we still have average income earners in the country.
Well,
it's almost as though we don't have middle class anymore. It's almost either you're poor, very poor, or you're rich.
So when you make a policy that does not affect the upper class, what is your motive? What is your motive? The point where we are now, the idea of subsidy removal was to provide palliatives here and there. One of the key areas should have been education. One of the key areas should have been education. If you say a child should pay 100,000 naira in place of 45,000, whom are you telling to pay it? It's not the child that pays the fee, it's the parent.
For the tertiary institutions, you are of the University of Port Harcourt. Has there been changes in the fees, tuition fees?
No, I've not heard of that.
Because we've gotten reports in other institutions across the country, University of Benin and a couple others, of certain increases made in tuition fees. And we've been waiting to hear whether similar thing is applicable here in the University of Port Harcourt. Or is that something that has been discussed?
No, that has not been said. I have not heard of that yet.
All right. Before we get on with the conversation, because we know that the government had proposed a student loan, which is also very critical to this conversation. And ASU at the time had said, I hope we would not see the amount students would pay for tuition fees go up because of this loan that you are introducing. But before I do that, let's just remind you that you can join in on the conversation on Facebook. We are live, so you can go on to Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. That's the handle. Like the page, and you can watch us live and listen to us, and also drop your comments. Very simple question: should education be subsidized? A lot of people bring up the argument of education is expensive, you have to pay for it. Even while I was in school, University of Port Harcourt, I had some lecturers who would say education is expensive. In other parts of the world, they pay. And so I had to do my research and begin to look at other parts of the world. Yeah. And you would see that in other parts of the world where they pay for a certain level, not basic education. Basic education is highly subsidized. Yeah. Even tertiary educations in some countries like Ukraine, in Sweden, in Cyprus, you name it, it is subsidized still. It is still subsidized, but then importantly is they have a better standard of living compared to us in this part of the world, and so the possibilities to be able to afford that is there, as against what we have here in Ghana. The parliament had said approved a 15% increase on tuition fees, which is up to about 2,000 cedis, which is about a little over 100,000 naira now, and there's a protest. Students are protesting, people are complaining. Some schools were even adding more than 15%. And the reason was simply because they're saying, we do not have a good standard of living, first of all. Our economy is not working properly. We're not making, there's no money. And you're telling us to want to pay this. And that's a problem at the moment. So whether or not education should even be expensive, even up to tertiary level, has now become a question. We would like to get your response. We have a short commercial coming now, and would like you to let us know on Facebook, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, on WhatsApp 0809 030 6416. When we return, Prof would tell us more about his position on this, and we'll dive deeper into the student loan and even understand its implications for education in the country. Stay tuned. want to know what you think about the cost of education. Should it be subsidized? Professor Gloria Amadi, a lecturer from University of Port Harcourt, is here with me in the studio, and we have been looking at the recent increase in the unity colleges for tuition fees. And from certain, if you try to get detailed reports, it's saying that it is applicable to, I think, first term people who are new students are the ones expected to pay 100,000 naira instead of 45,000 naira. Now, whether this would cut across every other person, the document did not give all of those details. But from what it said here in the circular, it was titled "Approved Fees Charges for Federal Unity Colleges First Term for New Students," and it was signed by the Director of Senior Secondary Education, Hajia Binta Abdul Kader. She says new students are expected to pay with 100,000 naira instead of the previous 45,000 naira, and the fee, of course, would affect all aspects and activities of the school, including boarding fees, uniforms, textbooks, deposits, exercise books, prospectus, caution fees, ID cards, stationaries, clubs and society fees, sports, extra lesson, insurance, among others. All of those would also be affected by the increase. Prof, you said there's a breakdown.
Yeah.
If you can just give us an idea of what it entails.
Okay, you have already said it. It is from what she said, the director, JSS1 and JSS2, SS1 and SS2 from
45 to 100.
45 to 100. And then there are other groups like the SS3 that will be going for their WAEC. They are required to pay 117,000. Inclusive of boarding fees and fees for this and that. But the problem is at the time when this is coming up, that's my worry. A government that is yet to be formed, no minister yet. Was it the decision or policy of the past administration? It is coming at a time when workers are yearning for salary increment, and that has not been done. Government has made a promise that due to the subsidy removal, that there will be palliative. That has not been implemented. So what will be implemented now will be increment of fees for. And like I said before, consider who these parents are. What is their economic level?
Yes.
Who are they? They're already lamenting because they cannot afford this. If your project, your budget before this time was 45,000, and you have 4 children, you had made your budget, for your returning children to school.
But this is my concern. The fact that we do not understand why the increase. I don't think it was stated. What would the money be used for? We do not know, because we haven't seen much investment into the quality and standard of education across the unity colleges, from the structure to the equipment to the curriculum to a lot of things. I want to just give us a quick breakdown here. There's a breakdown of what the money is, how it was broken down. Here, if you look at number 1, Prof, it says tuition free. So it says tuition is free, no amount for tuition.
Okay.
Free. But then boarding fee 30,000, uniform 25,000, textbooks deposit 15,000, exercise books 5,000, prospectus 1,000, caution fee 1,000, and for the exercise books it's per session. So every session you pay 5,000. The uniform of 25,000 naira is to JSS1 and SS1. The boarding fee for boarders only. Then ID card 1,000, stationery 1,000, clubs and societies 1,000, sports 1,000, medical 2,000, vocational 1,000, utilities 2,000, security 1,000, website, e-result, ICT 3,000, school media 3,000, extra lesson 2,000, insurance 5,000. That one is once a session. All of this is what amounts to 100,000 naira. So the tuition they wrote is free. But then you have all these charges running through. Now, does that mean that if you're not a boarder, you would not pay 30,000 naira? Is that what it would mean? And that would be maybe you are now paying 70,000 as the monies that you need to pay, the charges that you need to pay. Since it's not, they say tuition is free. So what do you explain this? Because for some people it's sort of like giving with one hand and taking with the other. That's what some would explain it to look like.
Yes, the game, it is a politics. The ideology of a unity school is to run a tuition free. That's why you have free
for the tuition.
Yes, they say free, and then give it another name. Now they give the tuition is free, then charges, these ones are charges, whereas tuition covers all payments.
So if it's charges,
tuition covers all payments, and people who will be privileged to be enrolled in the unity school should enjoy this.
What does the money that is allocated to education in the budget then used for at the secondary level? Or we do not think about it? Because if somebody will be paying for ID card, if I will pay for ID card in a government school, that I would ordinarily feel I should have for free.
Yes, what you have read out, it shows that they have gone commercial. This is exactly what you see in the private sector, the private operators of school. This is exactly what you see. So they have tactfully removed fee and said tuition free, which is what it is supposed to be. And then these other charges you pay. That is what you see in private school investment, because they have to run the school charging all these.
Security 1,000 naira. Okay, let's open the phone lines. Let's just go to the phone lines now. Let us hear from you. 0817-923-0007. 0817-923-0003. I thought free education would involve free exercise books available. Isn't that something that should be looked at? Because I'm shocked to see that you would pay for sports 1,000, stationaries, which will be toilet paper, toilet rolls, and the rest of them. These are things that students will still pay for now, 1,000 naira. So my question still remains: the monies that are allocated to, that I'm sure they have a budget.
Yeah.
What do they use it for? Just for power? Is it for just diesel or petrol? What do they use it for?
I have not been privileged to look at the budget going to education, and especially the unity schools. So what this is showing us is that they have told the operators of the various schools, run your school, generate the money and run your school, because these are the okay let us say that where government is responsible now is salary, but run your school, generate the money and run your school, run the expenses, we pay the worker salary.
So there's nothing that's imputed to improve on the quality. That's what it would mean.
No.
Because if all these charges are there and we are not seeing.
No, the charges do not take care of the structure or the payment of salaries. From what we have seen, there are specifics. This is for sports. This is for this. Charge them and it's like internally generated revenue. Run it and run the system. We pay you.
Robin is the chair. Let's get to the listener now. Hello, Robin. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
You're welcome.
You see me, Andrew.
Go on.
I'm special greeting to the guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Me, I want to look at it in this way. You see, in the past 20 years, you see me, Andrew, how many unity schools do we have in Nigeria? How many do we have in River State? Let me bring it down to home here, River State. How many do we have in the past 20 years? And now that we are talking, how many do we have? By my own study, the same number of those unity schools we had in the past 20 years or thereabouts are the same number of schools we are still having. And the population is increasing every day. That the unity schools we have cannot even accommodate those who have the quest to send their children there. I'm also aware that unity schools do not run day students. I don't know, I should be corrected. They are all body schools. And if they are increasing that fee, for me, the reality today is that fee they were taking before, 45,000 or thereabout, either it's free tuition or no free tuition, whichever guys they are taking that money, they say it's free tuition. They now put levy on uniforms, security, sports, and other items that you have read out there. Is there anything in the market today that the price is the same way it cost at the beginning of this year? If you ask me, it's no. The Akara ball we used to buy for 1 kobo, that is the one we are buying today for 15 naira. Every price of things have changed. So for me, the argument of increasing tuition fee in unity school is minimal. Does it start there? It starts from the primary. Which energy are we putting towards ensuring that the government provides good learning environment from the primary before we get to secondary?
All right, Robert, thank you.
All primary schools are dead. No teachers. The structure is bad, and every day we keep shouting. For me, this energy about increment of unity school should be channeled to the government and give government mandate to telling the government when they will build a new refinery for us.
All right, Muriel is in Okrika. Muriel, good morning.
Thank you, Eshemi. Good morning.
Go on.
Is your Okrika woman. You see, Eshemi, for me, this is unacceptable entirely. Look, there is this game that our government like playing, this shifting blame system. Tinubu and his government did not form their cabinet, no ministers yet. They removed subsidy. They removed subsidy on totally everything. Tomorrow they will come and tell us that they are not the ones that removed it, that it was Buhari that removed it. But yet, what Buhari removed, you loved it so much that you're implementing it. Why don't you wait? Look at the rhetoric. Look, if you like this, if you want it or you don't want it, you're just going ahead to implement everything. Look, it is unacceptable, CNE. Nigeria, especially Niger Delta, we have crude oil in a field at our backyard. We cannot go to school. We cannot feed. We cannot do now the unity school that you're subsidizing. You're telling me that you're going to remove subsidy. You're going to stop subsidizing for us. So how do you want us to cope? In other words, you just leave us to our system. You just be like that, and yet you have crude oil. Look, they must subsidize something. So if you're not subsidizing, if you're not to subsidize crude and petrol, no problem. But the things in our country, food, education, this is that you subsidize when you say no, you will not do it. It is unacceptable. We can't cope with this. Nigerians should rise up and resist it. This is wrong.
All right, Abinoye is on the line from Abua. Abinoye, good morning. Abinoye, yes, good morning, Abinoye. Go on.
I think that what the federal government wants to do is to do increments in all the sections. And the question still remains, what are they actually doing with this increase? I know that I have my 2 children in unity school. And each time we go to, when they return, we buy insecticide, we buy herbicides, all those things that they would have used. Those are the things you will submit before that child is taken into the school. Also, there are some areas that were deficient. There were no teachers. It was the PTA that will plan the payment of these teachers. There are some infrastructures that the PTA took it upon themselves to build, like some hostels. So I do not know what this increase will do. Is it to just add to the hardship of the people? I think that this increase is senseless. If the government have the people, in their heart, there's no need to make things more difficult for the people. And I think the essence of the unity schools is for integration, apart from the fact that we should, procure education, from other sectors. That is what unifying. That's why it is a unity school. And I think that the aim of this thing should not be abused. I do not want to make statements that will seem as if those of them who are in the government, who are the drivers now, don't love education. And I think that it is out of place to do that increase over 100%. Thank you.
All right, Effiong Okuru, good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria Info.
Go on.
Please, I want to compliment by adding that the increment, I think it came at a very wrong time. Considering subsidy has been removed from fuel, what they would have done with that removal or whatever fund that they be taking to the Ministry of Education, the Federal Ministry of Education, is to put back that money to these schools so that parents will not feel the heat they are going through right now. People are going through a lot. Even the 8,000 that I heard they want to turn to family units, why would that augment the increment of from 45,000 to 100,000 that we are hearing? And the government has not even put in place ministers. Why would somebody director down there, not even a farm to go and approve or send a circular for increment in this? This whole thing is just being hitting up the whole place. And if people now stand up or rise to over protest and destroy things, it will look as if another thing has happened. So I think this increment, whoever that did it, will reverse it at this point. Parents are going through a lot. In fact, I am going through a lot. My kids are in the federal school. I live around it, but I know what to go through. So they should revise it. Whoever that did that should revise it at this point.
All right.
That's it. Might see a one-man protest in Okuru one early morning.
F. Young, thank you. Is it wrong to say that people need to stand and speak up now? Because we can't if the government would not explain, and I think that's where it's killing the fact that you do not even have information, no proper information as to why we did it and what we want to do with the money, and this is the plan. There's nothing. It's just you are seeing this. It's just happening, and everybody seems to be living with it. Almost, you're angry, but then you are comfortable at the same time.
I read on the news that the National Assembly is reacting to it, and a directive has been issued for them to not to go ahead to implement. So all we are saying, all the responses we are also getting from members of the public is that protest that government should listen to. You know, it is premature. The timing is wrong, and when you consider the current situation, it is uncalled for. Except the idea of this administration is to add pains to the people. People are already sorrowing. People are already down. People are struggling to survive. You can't move to the next destination. Your income has not increased. So
then people are increasing rent.
Okay. So what are you earning? What a single parent that has 2 children in that school? What are you earning to be able to do this? Where are you expected to go to? You know, this is a civil service society where majority of the people are working in government sector. So, and no increment has been done in their income. So, if you are making increment anywhere, where are you expecting them? Then some state governments have gone ahead to respond by reducing the number of days you go to work. Okay, if you stay behind, what will that do for you?
Prof, we have to say thank you. You're already out of time. Thank you for being with us on the show.
Thank you.
We'll go for a commercial now.
Brains will love our